Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining the Oxford University Italian Society live talks. We are happy to host digital entrepreneur and influencer Riccardo Pozzoli. Good evening, Riccardo.
Good evening, Giuliano, and it's a great pleasure being with you guys.
Thank you very much. It's a great honor for us as well. Riccardo Pozzoli starts off his career in 2009, founding a digital media company which will change the world of communication forever. Indeed, it became a case study at the Harvard Business School in 2014. Since then, he has published 2 influential books on entrepreneurship, startups, and social media. He has also worked at the top Italian fashion publisher Condé Nast and managed a successful project for UNICEF Italia. Today, Mr. Pozzoli works as a global consultant at Luxottica and at his venture capital holding, Delirious Investments. He also hosts a famous podcast, Walk the Talk, of which I'm a great fan myself. This afternoon, after a brief speech by Riccardo on his terrific career, we will have a 10 to 15 minutes of questions by our committee, followed by questions from you, our audience. So please feel free to leave your questions below, and I will be very happy to read them out. Until then, Riccardo, the stage is yours. You may begin.
Thank you very much, Giuliano. So I will go through my career because I think it's a 10 years of adventure, innovation, and great passion. And I think that those 3 elements can be elements quite important in the life of almost everybody nowadays that wants to face the business world. So I got graduated in finance in Bocconi in Milano. Unfortunately, 13 years ago, I have to say, so quite a long time ago now. And but already during my study in finance, I realized that I really enjoyed, in reality, the kind of topics that I was studying, but probably that was not the dream job that I was seeing myself in the future, you know. So I decided to take a couple of optional exams and in marketing and management. And I realized that working on creating the demand for something and understanding the demand for a product was definitely something that was more, let's say, I was probably more appropriate for. So I applied for the Master of Science in Marketing Management in Bocconi, and I went on. So in the same universities, but change a bit my path from finance and economics and pure economics to more the corporate management and marketing. I really enjoyed this process, and in my second year, I asked to have an international experience, and they from the university from Bocconi, they sent me to take an internship of 4 months in Chicago in the United States. And that was the autumn of 2009. So I'm speaking about 11 years ago. That in reality, from what happened after that, like to me, seems it was like a life ago, but in reality, it's just a bit more than 10 years. And I went to Chicago. I had a beautiful experience working as the assistant of the marketing manager of this company there. It was a gardening company, so Italian gardening company. It's called Kleber. And I was very happy also because it was something that completely unknown for me. I never had a garden before, that experience in my life. So once I got there, the first thing is that literally I had to study how products were working, and also for somebody that didn't know so much the product, also what was the feeling. And it was quite interesting because I discovered a completely new world. I discovered, first of all, the American world that was, I mean, yes, I had been there earlier, but just as a tourist. So I discovered what means to work in the United States, and I was 23. I started working. I also understood what was working for a multinational company. I understood what was working on product that I didn't know. So also how to really get into the audience, the targeting, the community that I was facing with a product. And definitely, I also started understanding how to deal in a company with innovation and change. Because once I got there, the company didn't even had a Facebook page. Again, let's try to think about 2009. Probably the most of you are young, so it's not even easy to understand the situation. But back in 2009, Instagram didn't exist. The word selfie didn't exist. So we are speaking about literally an ancient era, digitally speaking. So innovating was always like a sort of discovery, a sort of exploration, you know. And you were innovating just by tasting, you know, trying and seeing what was going on, learning and re-elaborating to do better. I had a great experience, and I realized how the big companies could really build up a conversation with their clients through the technology and through digital platform. Obviously, as I was saying, back in the time, the biggest social media, basically the only one that was really huge, was Facebook. There was YouTube, but it was also different usage of YouTube back in the time, even Facebook, but way less social media. But for example, I was building up a conversation through Amazon with all our customers that they were buying, they were leaving reviews. So I really understood how this could become something huge. And back in the time, I also understood that somebody could be a sort of middleman in this conversation. And those role, it was the role that later on would be called influencer. Obviously, back in the time was something that was not existing because this word was not existing. Also because the entry barrier to the world were quite tough. It was not like today that you just open your profile on Instagram and technologically speaking, you don't have to do nothing else, because with your smartphone and your Instagram profile, you can become a worldwide famous influencer. Back in the time, you had to create your platform, your space on the web. You had to take picture with a camera, download on your computer, postpone probably in Photoshop. Like, it was way more a work, but we did that. Me and my friend Chiara Ferragni, back in the time, we decided to do this together. And in October 2009, the Blonde Salad was born, exactly because we realized that the market had this need. Obviously, it was absolutely impossible have a clear view of what could have happened later. But as many entrepreneurs decide to, you know, get on the market, they start from a need, and the need in this case was to create a conversation with communities. And we were realizing that there were people around the world that they wanted to be entertained and informed about fashion in a different way. There were already the first fashion blogger around the globe that were starting sharing contents. It was really, I'm literally speaking about 10 people around the world, but they were starting getting visibility. And as we were into fashion, like just for fashion, but we were really into lifestyle and stuff, we were checking all these people, and we were seeing that this was a phenomenon that was growing and growing and growing all over the world. So we decided to jump on, and we started working on that. Back in 2000, I mean, after in 2010, I went back to Italy. I finished my master degree, did my thesis dissertation about the Blonde Salad, indeed. And it was, I did a qualitative research in trying to understand how the perception of the brand and the willingness to pay for a luxury product was changing if the communication and the conversation was held on a blogger platform instead of on a traditional media. And the data were incredibly great, like absolutely. That was definitely something like, if you were analyzing the data, you could understand that something for sure could have changed in the world. And definitely it happened, because then in 2011 Instagram became huge, but all 2010 we saw that many fashion bloggers started all over the world, like companies started approaching I remember the first time that Yux or Luisa Via Roma or My Teresa or Net-a-Porter, all these big retailers that were approaching us to buy just advertising, banners on the Blonde Salad, because they were seeing that as a platform to communicate to new generation and to new communities. So this was definitely the starting point and the humus of what then would have been the revolution of the fashion world, speaking about communication. And we've been very lucky and privileged to be in a definitely advantaged position to live that, because we were basically between the first mover of the market, and also we tried to have the most professional approach possible, because I realized immediately that was what the companies, the fashion companies, they were not expecting from bloggers. Like, there were many bloggers, slowly, during 2010, 2011, many bloggers started all over the world, but no one was a company. No one was an agency company. No one had a team, had a production team. That was there was me, that I was the sort of a sales of the company. So me, I was going to all the company to speak to all the marketing manager of the fashion brands. They were telling their needs. I was getting back. I had a team that was creating a production plan, that was helping Chiara in building up the contents, and all this was something that they were not expecting, because for them, bloggers, they were just cool kids that they were playing with cameras and blogger. So when they realized that they really could rely on us, because we were giving them better contents than magazines at a lower price, and sharing them with bigger communities, they realized that was the way. So we started growing up a lot, and it was really, really interesting also for me in those years, because I was really just listening to the marketing managers of those companies, and I was really realizing that they didn't even know what the tool was, sincerely, because no one of them, like, they were mostly 40, 50 years old, so they didn't even know some of those what really a blog was. But they just knew that they had to approach that. So it was quite a wild west, but it was also very very charming, like working together with these big companies, and learning together with them how to create, because neither us, we were like, there was no a book of how to be a great fashion blogger, so it was just something that day by day we were discovering, and we were learning. After that experience, we realized that the opportunities could become quite interesting, because after a few years, Instagram arrived, Snapchat arrived, Twitch, YouTube became a different platform. So a lot of influencer, a lot of social media guru started approaching the world. So together with that, the world started having a complete different approach to the tool and to those figures. And the public started getting very used to that. So the public started using the platform. So if you were on Instagram in 2012, you were growing just because the platform was growing. So you were not just growing because of what the work you were doing, because you were really realizing how the platform was incredibly growing every day, because people wanted those kind of contents. But at a certain point, we realized that we should have done something different. So we switched to go back to be a sort of higher level lifestyle magazine. So the Blonde Salad at that point, and it was around 2013, became a lifestyle magazine, and Chiara started being very focused in sharing her contents on just on Instagram. So creating her daily diary on Instagram, and on the Blonde Salad we had real content about fashion. And this was the, let's say, the first step that brought the Blonde Salad to become also an e-commerce in 2016. So basically, we built up a community that was really interested into fashion, into suggestion and tips about fashion contents and products. And in 2016, we started even to sell products on that platform. Then in 2017, I decided to leave the company and to try to put all my expertise of all those years in new adventure. and I joined Condé Nast Italy. As you maybe somebody of you knows, Condé Nast is the biggest group in the world when we speak about fashion publicist. We speak about the company, the editor of Vogue, Vanity Fair, Glamour, Architectural Digest, Wired. So really, GQ also for men. It's absolutely a great lifestyle publishing company, very dynamic also. And they asked me to enter in that reality and try to innovate, bringing the digital culture into the company. Obviously, everybody in the company had, every brand in the company had the digital platform like Vogue.it. Obviously, they all had their social media profiles, but they were not really approaching with a dedicated editorial strategy, and they were definitely not approaching the influencer marketing world. So what I tried to do was exactly to do this. So I tried to bring all my culture and all my knowledge about the topic, and we created the first agency of influencer marketing into the Condé Nast world. So Condé Nast today, when he's going to a client to sell a page on a magazine, can sell also influencer project and influencer marketing approach integrated with the communication on the magazines and on the website. And this it has been such a successful story into Condé Nast Italy that all the network of the international network of Condé Nast came to Milano to, let's say, copy and paste what we were doing in Milano to bring these those processes also abroad. And that also has been for me a great opportunity, because I learned a lot about the media world during that experience. And also I had another great opportunity to work with very creative people, and it was another opportunity for me to try to find that balance that it's very important when you work in the lifestyle world, that is always to match the creativity together with the business needs. Like this balance, it's quite a fragile and delicate balance, and to keep, but the better you keep, the better is going to be the result. And this is definitely something that for whoever wants to work into fashion or any kind of lifestyle or creative based industry, it's absolutely important, because sometimes the needs of the creativity, they don't go in the same direction of the needs of the sales. And to find the right balance, sometimes it's really part of the we can say of the DNA of the brand that you're working for. So this is something for marketers like me, it's absolutely a great challenge. After that experience, I've been asked from Luxottica Group to join the team and more or less do the same thing. So bring my social media and digital, let's say, knowledge into a huge multinational company that the great entrepreneur Del Vecchio built up as a B2B company. Because as you probably know, Luxottica has been founded 59 years ago. Next year, we're going to celebrate the 60s. And has been founded by an industrial person. So it has been, and also it has been founded around the product. As companies 60 years old, they were founded. So nowadays, the focus of such a huge company must be the consumer. All those companies, they have to evolve toward a consumer-centric approach. And because the conversation with the consumer nowadays, it's more important than the product. Not that the product is not important, but just that today we reach the level of quality in the product in which that's not anymore the differentiating point. Like one company is not better of another in doing glasses, but one company maybe is better in the other in understanding what kind of glasses their consumers want. And that is where you can really make the difference. So they asked me to get into the company, and now it's 1 year that I'm in the company, and I am coordinating all the social media strategy of all the groups, so Ray-Ban, Persol, Oakley, and so on, and all the PR of the group for every brand globally. So it's a great challenge, because that's the first experience in my life to work in a real multinational company and have also big responsibility, because I have tens and tens of people in my teams. We are working on many markets. We are working on many brands, very different brands. So I can find myself speaking about NFL, National Football League in the morning, because Oakley is sponsoring the NFL, and we have to decide who are the next athletes to work with us, and maybe speak about the handcrafted glasses that Persol is doing in Turin in the afternoon. And the customers are completely different. We have the best customer of Oakley in the United States as the Italian one for Persol, as the world, the globe for Ray-Ban, or maybe the little subculture for Arnett or other brands. And then we have also to handle all the retail chain, like such as LensCrafter, Sunglass Hut, Salmoiraghi & Viganò. So it's really a complicated company, but it's extremely challenging and inspirational working there, and working with great professionals. And by the way, we are working also now on a beautiful project that you're gonna know more next year together with Facebook. So even here, I'm very happy because I can really work on innovation, and we're really innovating, trying to create something that we forecast in the future will substitute even the smartphone, probably. So this is gonna be another very interesting challenge that we are facing as a company, and I am facing as a manager in working on innovating a full category and working in such a big company. Nowadays I'm spending also, let's say, the 20% of my time, the 30% of my time in helping venture capital. The Italian venture capital scene has really changed and has grown a lot in the past 10 years. I would say a lot in the past 3-4 years. And a lot of opportunities are arising, but still there is a quite tough connection between the startupper, the entrepreneurs, and the capital market. So what I'm trying with my little company, my holding company, is to exactly build up this bridge. Sometimes the big investors, the big venture capitals fund, or all the family office, they don't have the knowledge to analyze the startups and pick the startups to invest in. So usually what is the standard is that they are just becoming funds of funds, because they are just investing in other funds and kind of saying, okay, you take care about that, I will take care about the money. But this is not the right approach, obviously, even more in a market like Italy, that is a really, let's say, small market. And for the startupper, it's not easy to get to the capitals, because they have a huge competitivity. A lot of investors also, they are going toward foreign markets because they are a bit more established. Speaking about venture capitalists, today it's safer to invest in venture capital in London than in Italy, just because the system of venture capital in London is older and more established. So definitely it's going to be easier for startups also to emerge there than to emerge in Italy. But for what I'm trying to do is also to change this perception. So trying to orientate some venture capitalists and some investor toward the startups market, and also trying to help startups to get in contact with the right investors. So today, this is a bit my double nature. Like, I'm still an entrepreneur trying to mentor and help the youngest and younger entrepreneurs than me. And the other half of me is a manager in a multinational company. But I think that, let's say, the contamination between these two worlds can create a lot of value, because nowadays a big multinational companies is working through some processes that definitely cannot be as fast as the market is, because today we see an evolution in the consuming habits that is super fast, literally super fast. So this big multinational company, they have to learn how to move fast enough to catch with the market. And startups, obviously, they have many challenges, like internationalization, scaling. So they have many structuring right HR structure. So all those kind of topics that for a big multinational company, they are, let's say, day-by-day activities. So I really think that the contamination between these two worlds can create a huge value, and that's what I'm trying to do every day.
Thank you very much, Riccardo. It's very fascinating to hearing from you about your career and how you developed your knowledge and your work culture. I think it's very, very important for us as as young students approaching the real world of work. I think it's very, very important. I have a couple of follow-up questions for you for things that you have mentioned,
Yeah, sure.
And then we have some questions from the committee. And but if you guys please feel free to leave your questions below. I will read them in a minute. In your speech, you mentioned that at first, media companies' goal was to build up the communication between the businesses and the clients through social media. But my question is, how important now are these media companies to get insights about clients in order to understand the demands? In a way, like what I'm asking is, it's not just promotion, but also to understand the demand.
Absolutely, yes. Like what you're saying, it's very, very important. And for example, this is something that I'm forcing a lot, even in a big company like Luxottica, to make them understand that today the communication between the company and the customer is not just in one way, but is double way. So we can give something, but we can take something from. We can take a lot of information, and all the insights that we can take from the market and the customers can be absolutely fundamental in trying to forecast the change and the evolution of the market. Today, that's the only problem is that that's still a world, let's say, that is quite how to say it's still not very clear who is really helping you in collecting the right insights and how to collect the right insights. There are many theories, many tools, but definitely that's something that is fundamental today. When I was speaking about creating a conversation, this absolutely must be one of the priorities of the company, like trying to engage the customers, not just in buying product, but in sharing and sharing with their peers or with the company itself what, like opinion, feedback, and whatever can help the conversation to evolve. Just to give you an idea, there is a phenomenon that it's called co-designing. That basically it's the attitude that some companies they have in creating content, asking directly to their community what kind of content. For example, with very basic tools, just using, for example, Instagram. In the stories, there are companies that are saying, "Oh, would you like to prefer this shirt blue or green?" And if the community is telling you, for example, green, they will go for green because that's definitely what your market is asking. So this is definitely, for example, a way to very basic, very easy way of interact and collect insights. Obviously, we have to keep in mind that it depends also on the kind of product that you're working on and the kind of industry, because what the customers want today, it's not mandatory what they will want maybe in 1 year. So if you're speaking about cars, for example, and you ask today what the market wants, but you take 2 years to develop what they want today, probably in 2 years the market that it's not gonna be at that point, but it's gonna be to another point. So it's really important to understand that insights must be very important, but they have to be taken exactly for what they are. And so they can be important for today, but they must be important to forecast the future, because for many companies it's more important, to work toward the future that toward what exactly is the now.
That's very interesting. Thank you very much. I am a data miner as well for my research, so I'm always very interested to understand how insights can help us to improve the content, to what actually works better for them. So actually, the follow-up question, since it's related to what you just said, but also to what you mentioned in the speech. You also work with the HR part of your company. So what do you see in terms of jobs? Like, what do you see would be new positions that will come up in the future in your sector?
I think that this is a very interesting question, because I'm literally working daily with the HR, and I can see that really the HR world is evolving literally every day, because as the conversation and the approach to the customer is evolving, obviously all the working behind handling that relationship is evolving, and we definitely need new figures to try to handle that. And if you think about the a basic consumer journey, like we get to know about a brand, we get to know about a product, we get to know, then like we get a bit more engaged. We start, maybe we want to take a decision about the product. So which color, what version of that I would like to have. Maybe I buy. So then I get to the point that I want to buy, and then there is all the post sale. All this, it's a long relationship that starts from the upper funnel of the marketing approach toward the real lower funnel of the conversion, and then all the post sale, that nowadays it's more important. Maybe, I mean, more important, maybe it's a bit too much, but it's as important as the pre-sales approach, because today we're not selling again, as we were saying, we're not selling something that people necessarily need, or products that are better than other products, performance speaking. But the most of the time we are selling something, like if you are buying a Luxottica glass instead of a Safilo glass, probably it's just because you feel yourself into the community around that brand. Somehow you understand the values, you understand the aesthetics, so you want to be in that community. So me, in the moment that I understand that you want to be in that community, I have to keep in that community, because you're gonna share the message, you're gonna maybe become yourself an advocate of my brand and my product, and also you're probably gonna be a returning client. So I really need to build up all this. Why I'm saying this? Because all these steps need people that are able to take care. For example, there are probably many other new figures, that HR needs. But for example, right now I am building up a new team into Luxottica that it's called Social Concierge, and basically it's gonna be all the team that is gonna take care of the customer relationship management with our customers, but just through social media. So there's going to be the team that will interact in the moment that you write a direct message to Ray-Ban, or it's going to be the team that once you broke the Ray-Ban and you are pissed because of that, and you share that on your Instagram profile, I have to get there, comment you, and trying to create the conversation and get why you are pissed off and how to help you, get better. So this is going to be a very intense task force. And for example, it's a new team that I created into Luxottica, so it's quite we are definitely designing a new position into the company, and we are really trying to even understand from the HR point of view how to select those kind of people, because definitely they must be able to handle the stress, they must be able to handle people, to speak in the right way, to have also a certain sensitivity with the brand, because they have to understand also the tone of voice, because if you speak as Oakley or you speak as Ray-Ban, you have to speak in a different way, apart from the language, obviously. So it's really important. And for example, this is an example of a new kind of work. But definitely another thing that it's really, really, really important, and definitely it's what you are doing when you say that you are data mining. So definitely any kind of job related to the analysis of the data, it's going to be fundamental in the future to understand the market and forecast the future. And then speaking about creative, on the creative side, definitely everything about the content. We still are not in the right level, but if you think today, content can change reality. Yesterday, I took part in a panel with a very interesting person that has a marketing agency, and he was he basically hacked the USA election, the previous USA election when Trump won. He basically pretended to be a candidate. This is an Italian guy. It's called Alessandro Nardone, and he pretended to be Alex Anderson. So he created a website. He created contents. He created a fake summit. He created everything and gave visibility to all of that through Twitter. And he got so seriously taken in consideration that at the point that the Republican put his name in the list of the official candidates for the election. So this is really making you, obviously he didn't do with any purpose. He's a journalist, he's an Italian journalist, but he just wanted to prove how today we can elaborate reality through content. So in the future, whoever is going to be able to create the right contents, write the right text, make understand, share messages through words, image, or videos, that is going to be really, really fundamental.
Thank you very much. Now, I got some questions prepared during the week for you, but I really want to go towards our audience because we have a lot of questions coming up. So I will keep them short. In previous interviews, you spoke about how Facebook is the social platform that is destined to be abandoned before others. But which one do you think is here to stay?
So probably I can also evolve my opinion compared to that previous interview. Probably Facebook is not going to be abandoned because probably Facebook will understand, is understanding how to give the right tools to a right generation. Probably Facebook will be abandoned by new generation, but it doesn't mean also that those new generation that today are not using Facebook, it's not sure that they will not use Facebook in the future. Because also during the aging of a person, also your necessity of interacting with social media evolve. So maybe you will change. If TikTok is super cool when you are a teenager because you dance, you sing, and you make fun, probably when you are 30, even if you are the same person, maybe when you are 30, you don't have that kind of approach anymore. So maybe you will not use TikTok anymore. So maybe you will need just something to stay in contact with your network. So maybe Facebook will be the one. But said that, I really think that all the social media that we are using the most today are meant to stay, just because they are kinda understanding that they are getting vertical. If you think about Facebook, when Facebook was there in the beginning, there were many other that tried to copy Facebook, and they didn't understand that by copying Facebook, they were doing the biggest mistake possible, because you cannot copy something that is not better than all the other because of a feature, but is better because it's better than all the other just because of the number of people on that. You cannot copy that, because if Facebook is already there and already took all the market or the most of the market, and the real advantage is those Facebook, you cannot steal that, So once there is the one that took the mass, go for the niche. Always in every marketing, in every industry works like that. If you are not able to go for the mass, go for the niche. In the middle, it's always wrong. So because if you go for the mass and you have that possibility, obviously there's going to be a great opportunity. But if you cannot go with that, go for a very small niche, and then maybe that niche will become bigger and bigger. For example, Twitch started as the social media of the gamer, because they were able to share their screen with the community and show all the passionate people about video gaming the kind of strategy that they were using to play and whatever. Nowadays, it's already becoming huge because the gaming thing is growing, but also because a lot of other people are starting using Twitch also just for streaming contents, and not just for gaming. So that is starting from a niche and then exploding. And Twitch will stay because it's for streaming. YouTube will stay because it's for video. Instagram will stay because it's for your lifestyle day through photos and whatever. Like Twitter will stay because even if it is losing users, and it's normal because Twitter started from the mainstream and now slowly is narrowing to the niche that it will keep. That is going to be the niche of the people that they want to speak. So I'm pretty sure that the most of the big social media that we see today, probably they will stay. If you are asking me, maybe Snapchat is quite useless if you think, because they just got a very young audience, but mostly American right now. It was a bit bigger in the previous year before TikTok, before Instagram, but nowadays Snapchat is basically used just by teenager in US. So that probably it's something more like an heritage because Snapchat started there. So maybe we're still keeping, and it's not gonna last. But all the other, they kinda find the right way. In the beginning, when social media was the thing, you were just going for the biggest one because that was the beginning. As we are evolving our approach towards social media as consumers, now we want specific social media for specific things because we know how to use them.
Thank you very much. That's fascinating and very, very interesting. My final question before leaving the floor to the audience is more a personal question. Where do you find these ideas? Is there something that you read? Is people that you talk to? Is a bit of both? Where do you find your inspiration?
But I mean, I think finding inspiration is one of the most natural thing because it's just creativity and sensitivity put together. In my case, I try to be a consumer to understand what is not working, and then I try to be creative in finding which could be the solution. So just to give an idea, today I'm opening a plant-based ice cream store in Los Angeles because I've been living there for 8 months. I realized that they love dessert, they love ice cream, but no one was doing a good plant-based ice cream, because also in California you cannot consume dairy. It's almost illegal, so you have to go for plant-based one. So I was a consumer. First of all, I was just a consumer. I was leading the market. I was going, observing, analyzing. I'm a sort of data mining, as you are saying, but I'm just doing because I'm very curious, very, very, very curious. So I'm always observing, always trying to, oh, look at that girl, what kind of shoes she's wearing to go to the cafe, or look at that girl that is going to take the milkshake right after the gym. So, just analyzing how people interact with the world and consume goods. If you kind of look at that and observe, you can, understand when something is missing. And sometimes something is missing just because you are missing. And if you are missing, then the second question that an entrepreneur must say is, I'm missing, but I'm too small to create a business. Like my niche, the niche of people that needs something like me, it's too small to create, or it's missing just because no one did that. Also because a lot of people think, oh, maybe no one thought about that. That's not really relevant. I don't care if people thought or not about that. I care if people did or not, because that's the biggest difference. The difference is not thinking about solution, it's creating the solution. That's the real difference between entrepreneurs and thinker, So, and then obviously I try to stimulate my curiosity. I try to travel a lot because changing continuously environment is stimulating to find the difference. And when you find the difference, you find the rules. Trying to read a lot. But for example, I read great managers or entrepreneurs books, but rarely, not always. Like I'm not one of those that is reading all the top managerials or motivating book. I read even classic novels as a philosopher's book or whatever. Like I really think that for me, obviously this is my personal case, like I really find inspiration in a complete world. You know what I mean? I cannot just think about business. I have many passion. I love riding around with my vintage motorbike. I love playing drum. I love reading novels. Like I really think that I need many touching points to stimulate my creativity. But definitely, it's very, very important for everyone to find his own way, and obviously always be curious. Like curiosity is one of the most important quality when you want to be an entrepreneur.
Thank you so much for this. I would have hundreds of questions that I would like to ask you, but I think I will leave them to your podcast to answer. Let's
Thank
go.
you.
Let's go to the audience. So the first is Giorgia Ramazzotti. The pandemic has slowed down the rhythm of individual life and consumption, and people are readjusting their behaviors according to new priorities. How is the luxury fashion industry adjusting to this new condition? Has the pandemic accelerated a change towards sustainability and fairness in the sector? Do you think that will be a long-lasting effect?
Thank you, Georgia, because this is a very, very interesting question. So we spoke a lot about that. During the first lockdown, I hosted entrepreneurs such as Remo Ruffini from Moncler. I hosted like the president of the Camera Nazionale della Moda, Carlo Capasa. I really had the chance to spoke to many big and important player of the fashion and luxury world, and everybody, starting from Giorgio Armani, that was writing on Corriere della Sera, we need to go back to a fair and slow manufacturing model. Everybody started thinking about that, and definitely that is gonna happen. But let me be a bit sneaky. I don't know if they will do because they really want to do, but I think they will do because they are forced to do that from the market. The market is slowing down, necessarily slowing down, because a lot of moments also of sharing your product, being well dressed, enjoying partying or a dinner. Obviously, we don't have, but even we are not even going to the office nowadays, so you don't even need a new suits every day to go to the office. So definitely those moments are slowing down, but I don't even think that this is the main driver. I think that the main driver is a new awareness that we are developing about things. When you're living such an emergency period as humanity is living right now, is living in 2020, you kind of reprioritize many things in your life. And we are definitely understanding that there are we need to consume more things that are making us feel good instead of look good. This is something that we understood. Indeed, for example, all the service of even luxury, but food during the first lockdown, they went crazy. Like they had really huge development of business because people wanted to eat well, to take care of themselves, to enjoy in the family, to enjoy time in the family, maybe even do sport, wellness, meditation, everything that could make them feel good. So all that part of luxury definitely is arising if we speak about the experience, But I don't even think that this is just something that the pandemic changed. This is just something that the pandemic accelerated. Then also, if you think about the great success of the big fashion brand of the past years, it's mostly due to foreign countries, like foreign markets, Asian market, Russian market, South American market, like all those markets that are in a let's say past stage of evolution in the consumption habits. So are those countries for which, for example, if you think about China, like a brand like Gucci was not important 10 years ago, but it's fundamental today. And also you have to take in consideration that they are evolving way faster than the time that we took to evolve. So we are way slower. We have been slower also because we've been the first. So when I say we, I'm speaking about mostly the Western countries, Europe and North America, that can be a bit accumulated when we spoke about consumption habits. So speaking about that, yes, for sure the world will change. For sure, a lot of fashion and luxury company, they have to resize their business because they're not going to be able to keep the rhythm that they had before. And by doing this, for sure they will have to restructure also all the cost structure of many companies that they were set up on a growing rhythm that is not sustainable anymore. This for sure will bring also to more sustainability, more fairness toward the customers. But all of these are things that the customers are asking because for the new generation, these are more important than the brand. So the brand, if they want to stay relevant in the future and for the next generation, will have to really embrace those kind of values.
Thank you very much. We will move now to Antonio Sofia Sabato. Hello, Riccardo. In mid-March, media started to argue that influencers lost their gloss, suggesting that we are approaching the end of influencer marketing. To what extent do you agree with that?
Thank you, Antonia. I definitely don't agree with that. I think that in reality, in March, influencer marketing got a completely new gloss. The real influencer marketing and the influencer of the future, if we want to call them like that. Influencer marketing is not slowing down, is increasing in reality the business, even in pandemic, but it's changing the player. Let's say that all those players of the first era of influencer marketing, and they were just players that they were used to take something, work without building up a real relationship with the company and the customers. All those influencers that they were living of events happening and whatever because they were poor of contents, for sure we're gonna say bye to them. This is a fact, because necessarily there is no Coachella anymore. There's no probably Coachella neither past next year. There's not gonna be another music festival. There's not gonna be fashion week. And even if they're gonna be for the market, slowly, all those events, they will not be interesting anymore, because seeing for the mass market, seeing what was happening in a fashion show was cool 10 years ago. Nowadays, it's not cool anymore. It remains to be cool just for the fashion victim. That absolutely, it's an important market. It's an important target for fashion companies, but it's not a huge market anymore. There is not so much interesting around all those topics that in the past year we already saw and saw again. So what are the real influencers that will take the stage in the next years are those influencers that are able to really build up a conversation with their community and really be able to share messages, to share content, not to just share picture, So this is definitely something that will evolve. And even in this situation, influencer marketing becomes even more important because all the player of the influencer marketing, like agencies, advising, talent agents, managers, whatever, they're gonna have a very important role in advising companies. Like what we do, for example, in Luxottica nowadays is to work only with micro influencer. I mean, not only, but mostly with micro influencer to try to understand the right niche, the right contents, to take people that are very credible in sharing what they are sharing, because maybe it's not mainstream what they are sharing, but they know really what they are speaking about, and they really have people that follow them for content, not for just the image or popularity. So to sum up, no, I definitely don't agree. I just think that the influencer marketing is definitely changing skin toward a way better one.
Thank you very much. We have some more questions coming up. Sorry guys, I can't accept questions in Italian. Please type them in English so we can show them for those non-Italian speakers. We have a question from Sara Carrino. Hello, Riccardo. What advice would you give to young people who want to approach the world of influencer marketing and create their own startup?
But these are two different questions. So approach the influencer marketing to nowadays, it depends what you mean for, I mean, in which kind of role, Obviously today, to become an influencer today, it's a tough job. Like I'm not gonna be I'm gonna be transparent about that. Like you're not a first mover nowadays anymore. So the market is overcrowded, and I mean, and unfortunately, as we were seeing in the previous question, a lot of player, a lot of influencer kind of ruin the market because they gave a very bad idea about the market, and a lot of people are starting indeed thinking that the market is going down, but it's not going to go down because influencer, they will stay in the future. They just are a new media, right, like the radio was the news in a certain moment, like television was the news in a certain moment, and influencer, they have been the news in the past years. Now they will find their size in the market, in the media mix, and they will stay as all the new probably media that will arise in the next years. Said that, today what I really suggest in reality to get into the influencer marketing is to try to be a bit, as I was saying before, to try to be more vertical, as vertical as possible about something. Like today, to become an influencer just to be popular, it's not gonna work. It's not gonna work because it's, even because of the pandemic that we're living right now, it's not gonna be easy to hang out with people, to attend all those events that are creating awareness around. Like today, it's really important to get into the market if you have something to say. If you don't have something to say, or you don't want to say something, don't do that, you know. But because the market is overcrowded and it's going to be tough, it's not going to be easy to get there. So really start from a topic, start from a niche, and maybe slowly with a lot of patience, wait to make the niche maybe bigger, or to take all the little niche about that topic around the world. It takes time. It's not something that you can do in a you know, like in a blink of eyes. Speaking about startups, again, even this, it's a huge question, like quite wide question, you know. But for sure, it's important today to, let's say that to do a startup properly, what is important today is to not to have the best idea in the world, because that is not existing. What is important is to understand understand how you want to bring value to the world, and be sure that you are the right person to do that. Because, for example, when we are picking the startups in my holding company that we want to mentor, or we want to, let's say, bring into our program to scale up, the first things that we do is we question ourselves, my team, and when we regroup after the first meeting, we say, okay, this guy wants to do this, and this thing will be good for the world because of that. So maybe you are solving a problem, you're solving a need, you are having a really positive social impact. That's great. And if, first of all, if you are not doing that, if we don't think that you are really bringing value, you're not gonna catch attention. But then the real important question is you the right person to do that? And many times we discard companies because they had an entrepreneur, a founder that was not the right person to do that. So it's not important the idea, but it's important the alignment between the person and the value that that person wants to create. Like for example, we don't work with also companies where we think that we cannot bring value. Like if we work on companies in which we know the market, we know the consumer, and we can bring a value. That it's the same when you want to launch a startup. You don't have to launch a startup because you want to launch a startup. You just create a startup as the consequence of the fact that you know how to create value in a particular sector.
Thank you very much. Very, very interesting. We have some more questions. I will try to read the very short ones. So one comes from Ciro Formisana. Hello, Riccardo. What do you think is the future of Italian entrepreneurship? How can we express our creativity and reshape our culture to keep up with the ever-changing and hyper-complex business world? What are strengths and weaknesses?
Thank you, Ciro, for your question. So, I mean, this also it's a beautiful question. I think we could speak hours about this. In general, just to make it short, I think that Italy has a great opportunity. as the world is reshaping, and we know that Italy is famous for the creativity, definitely Italian creativity can play a role important in reshaping the world in this particular phase. New needs are coming out, new brands, new communities. So we must apply our creativity to that. What unfortunately we are not understanding yet, to me, I mean, in my opinion, is that the creativity that we were famous for in the past, was the manufacturing creativity and ability. Unfortunately, it's not gonna be probably what can make Italy great in the future, but the same passion, the same approach to the details, the same approach to innovation that in the past we were putting into materials, into engineering in the cars, or in the textiles of the fashion, or I mean, in the shape and the materials of the design industry, where still Italy is definitely a leading country in the world. But if we want to stay leader in the future, we have to apply that kind of Italian approach to new ideas, and the new ideas will be to create how to shape and take care of all the details in creating a brand, creating a community, creating a system of values in which niche and communities around the world they can recognize themselves in.
Thank you very much, Riccardo. Sorry, guys,
Thank you.
if we cannot ask all the questions because there are so many and we have a limited amount of time. But please, let me
Thank you very much, all.
Riccardo Pozzoli for joining us, for his speech, for answering our questions. It's been a very pleasure. And hopefully we will invite you to Oxford and have a talk in person and finally meet each other.
I'd love, really. Thank you very much, all. It was really, really interesting. Thank you for your questions. They were all very inspiring. And I'm sorry we didn't have the time to speak about all of those topics. But definitely, when it's gonna be able, I will fly to Oxford, and we're gonna speak about all of that in person. Thank you very much, all.
Thank you very much, Riccardo. And finally, I would like to say thank you to the following people who helped me organize these events: Emma Baldassarri, Fabio Spagliardi, our secretary, our IT officer, Antonia Sabato, who helped me organize the event, Cecilia Corsini, James Magia, and Giorgia Ramazzotti, our press officers, and finally, our sponsors for allowing us to continue our activities, in particular, Banca Intesa. Thank you very much. And finally, I should say thank you very much to our audience for following us, for asking so many questions, and we look forward to invite you to our next event. Thank you very much, and good evening. Have a good evening, everyone.